Welcome back into another episode of the Spaceman 2.0 Phoenix Truth Rising Show. Here to help you grow in the knowledge and wisdom of truth, and the truth will set you free. With the best history lesson and spiritual insights on the planet, exposure of the Illuminati's plan of world conquest and control is the death knell to the New World Order. Now, having said that, with this image before you, this is the one being that has helped me out of the muck and mire when I felt no way out and said there's no way else to go, and thinking life is so down and distraught. Well, if you can compare your life with this man and what he's been through, if he can go through what he's gone through and show you the way, then so can you. And so if you put your hand in the hand of the man from Galilee, he might help you through any situation that you cannot see through. So having said that, let's give true respect and love and honor to this one being. Many people misunderstand his true importance to our entire structure of the entire planet and how it goes about on a 26,000 year cycle, and how he is the main avatar of this planet, of the universe, to help us overcome all of the shortcomings of our ego, trying to basically, sometimes not do it the true will of the spirit because of the ego's fear, and we misperceive the truth because of our mind's ability to kind of confuse us because our thoughts processes might not be clear. So with that being said, let's just read the bottom of this card here of the teachings of Sananda, which is Izu Emmanuel, as known as Jesus. If man is faint of heart and spirit, so are his laws faint-hearted and are like hearsay. If man is presumptuous and disregards the commandments and laws of the creation and of God, he is forced to bring forth his own laws, which are full of mistakes and lead him astray. Laws and commandments made according to men produce murder and evil will spread and gain control, and man no longer has any power over it. Commandments and laws are valid only if they are derived from wisdom and logic, but logic requires wisdom and perception. Man owes God his creation, and God is the ruler over him, so that he has to follow his commandments and respect him as the greatest king of wisdom. He will send forth his guardian angels with loud trumpets and will gather his followers from the four winds, from one end of the earth onto the other end. Emmanuel spoke of the commandments and laws thusly: since the commandments of the creation apply, and also the laws of God, thus they shall be followed and respected. Since the laws of the creation are the laws of the Spirit, so are the laws of God the laws of order and life. God issued the laws as regulation for that which is right, and also as a guideline for life. Thus, laws and commandments serve as paths upon which man shall walk in wisdom and intelligence, if he is truthful in his righteousness. Inasmuch as the laws of the creation and the laws of God are followed, there is no need for men to bring forth other laws of any kind whatsoever. The laws of creation and the laws of God shall be considered as the true laws, and they shall have to be followed, for they alone are valid. If man deviates from these commandments and these laws, he brings forth human laws which are based on false logic and therefore are faulty. So this is the Shroud of Turin. Look how it fits perfectly into the face of Emmanuel. Born August 88 BC, crucified April 7, 33 AD in Jerusalem at the order of the Procurator Pontius Pilatus. Human commandments and human laws are powerless if not based upon the laws of the creation, and God's laws are also based thereon, as were issued by him in wisdom. Emmanuel said, the highest commandment in the law of the creation is, achieve the wisdom of knowledge, inasmuch as this will enable you to wisely follow the laws of the creation. There is a great difference in God and man, however, that in his spirit he is infinitely greater than all people upon the earth, but he is not the creation, which is infinite and without any form or limitations. Thus God, too, is a creation of the original creation, which has no beginning and has no ending. Because there will be lack of faith, love will become cold and deaden in many, many people. Hatred will rule over all the world, and evil will reign for a long period of time. But he who persists in the truth will survive. And remember, the reproduction on the front cover and the transparency is from an actual photograph taken on June 1st, 1961 in Chichen Itza, Yucatan by one of the 30 archaeologists working in the area at the time. Sananda appeared in visible, tangible body and permitted his photograph to be taken. So, miracles happen every day. By a very beloved and goodly teacher, Sananda. What is the purpose of life? The purpose of life is to grow in knowledge of the one Creator. What is the essence of life? The essence of life is to know the Creator as yourself. What is life? Life is the supreme joy and delight of experiencing all that is. And when you understand all that there is, you will have achieved what already is. And now we'll continue on with the Divine Plan Volume 2, continuing on with our true history in 283 AD and what was known as the Roman Empire. And Constantine changed the name to Constantinople, and what remained in the eastern half of the Roman Empire. And then I think in the western half was the Byzantine, as the Byzantium as for the capital city. So let's get back into Volume 2, The Divine Plan. Now, while it claimed at all times to be the capital of the Roman Empire, you will find it generally spoken of as the Byzantine Empire, from the old and well-known name of Byzantium for its capital city. The western portion of the empire, which gradually was lost, losing its hold on Europe, had its capital part of the time, but not all of it, in Rome. Oh, sorry, that was the western part. Constantinople must have been the eastern part, right? For example, the city of Ravenna in Italy was the capital for a time. This was broken by the Visigoths, who were Israel people on the march in 410 AD. Okay, now listen up to the banking practices and the spending practices of the Visigoths. You remember, under the pressure of the invading Visigoths, the Romans pulled the last of their legions of soldiers out of Britain, bringing them home for the defense of Rome in 408 AD. That year they succeeded in buying off the Visigoth invaders, who had come into northern Italy, but had not yet taken the city of Rome. Then the Romans bought them off with a big money bribe. But by 410 AD, the Visigoths had spent the money, so they took the city of Rome, looted it, and smashed everything. And thereafter, there were merely a theoretical pretense of any further Roman Empire existing in the West. Let's read that again. But by 410 AD, the Visigoths had spent the money, so they took the city of Rome, looted it, and smashed everything. And thereafter, there was merely a theoretical pretense of any further Roman Empire existing in the West. Does this not sound familiar with looting and smashing by the Hyksos in Egypt, and how they took all the goods? How when Moses left, they took all the gold and goods. So, is there some sort of pattern here with the Visigoths, or what is known as Israel people in this book, in this journal? However, the Romans, who were a wily people, suggested to the Visigoths that there was some wonderful lands which had been a part of the old Roman Empire. They said, "Why don't you go and move into them? There is some beautiful fertile country over in Spain. We will give it to you. Only don't stay here." That seemed like a good idea to the Visigoths. Centuries of frightful misrule under the Roman emperors had reduced Italy to such a stage of poverty and general falling apart that there wasn't much worth staying for there anyway. So the Visigoths moved out across southern France, through the Pyrenees and into Spain, and from some time before 420 AD until the Moorish conquest in 711 AD, the Visigoths were the dominant people in Spain. Is this the Sephardic Jewish people over there, as opposed to the Ashkenazi in Eastern Europe, who were the Khazarians who took on the Judaist religion? Now, they didn't exterminate all the previous inhabitants of Spain, and in fact, some of the previous inhabitants of Spain were Israel people, for that matter, because the Vandals, a tribe that had moved down there, from southern Scandinavia were already in there, and they were not driven out immediately. They were not very numerous, and they later moved into North Africa, where of course they were swept up in the Arab and Moorish Empire. Later, there and became extinct, that is, they were absorbed into the darker peoples there. Isn't this true history lesson truly fun? Learning the truth will set you free. So, there was another tribe. There was previous inhabitants of Spain, were Israel people for that matter, because the Vandals, a tribe that had moved down there from southern Scandinavia, so they were known as the Vandals. There's a movie called The Vandals. It's quite funny because they two keep going back and forth in time and trying to make mistakes, but it's an interesting movie, and it has to do with crypto as well. And it's a fun movie to watch, but they're called the Vandals, and they're trying to rob a bingo hall. It's hilarious. But it does interestingly mix well with this aspect of the Vandals. And remember, in northern Africa, there's Carthage and what happened in Carthage with lots of sacrifices and where that was coming from. Continuing on. In Spain, then, you had a definitely Israel people, the Visigoths as the ruling race, and in Portugal also, until they were conquered by the Moors. Thereafter, there was much pollution of the bloodlines. That never, however, happened in Northern Europe, and for that reason the Scandinavian peoples are today considered pure stock. HATONN. Now for the shocker. They are considered pure Israel stock. Right? Because the true tribes of Israel are kind of lost. Even the ones that went to Wales and speak Gaelic actually speak ancient Hebrew. Ones in Newfoundland speak only Welsh and Gaelic in certain places. And that's actually ancient Hebrew. So if you really get into who are the true lost tribes compared to Khazarians who want to take over everywhere with their Mushpaka mafia. You cannot say of Italy or of Spain that as a nation they are Israel, because they are not. There are too many other people there. But you can say that among them are many who are definitely of Israel ancestry. HATONN. Again, you have a writer and speaker who cannot find proper meaning in terminology because of the corruption of the languages and the thieving of titles and labels for given definition. So he is doing the best he can with what he has with which to work and present. I can tell you, Chellis, it is a horrendous task to present material to a world in confusion and not simply further confuse. The term Israel is a real problem for all because of its total corruption. So remember that. The Western Roman Empire came to its end. All pretense of being an empire was abandoned by 476 AD. The eastern or Byzantine half of the Roman Empire was reduced to Asia Minor and the Balkan states by Muslim power by 650 AD. The Turks captured most of Asia Minor by 1074 AD. Remember, that's when Muhammad came around 650 AD. And Izu Emmanuel said, in 5 times 100 years there shall be a man, a false prophet that comes against you people and will continuously want to destroy you people. He was talking to the Pharisees. Between 1204 and 1260, the so-called Latin Empire of Constantinople, made up of the troops of the Fourth Crusade and the Republic of Venice, ruled briefly over the remaining territory, but the old Byzantine Empire was restored, at least in theory, actually governing nothing but Constantinople and its suburbs. In the middle 1260s, and the last trace of it disappeared with the capture of Constantinople by the Turks in 1453 AD. The first of these visions, Daniel, of this series of 4 great world empires, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Alexander of Macedon, and Rome, was given in the vision of the great statue, the image of the 4 different metals. This is exceedingly important because the great bulk of recorded history is covered by this series of empires. But the thing was given to Daniel again in a different vision, to be continued in the next segment. Let us close this before we run into too lengthy a discussion and forget our time limits for this writing. We need to be elsewhere, Dharma. Thank you. HATONN to stand by. Salute. And with that being said, let's look at this little illustration of initiation into the Freemasonic Empire. Okay, you're going to have to turn your computer on the side or your phone or whatever. Sorry about that. Look, the guy has a mask over his face with 666, says head winked. He says, I swear my soul to Freemasonry. And then you got the Grim Reaper guy, has a grip on him with a cable tow attached to his neck. You are now a Mason. Enter the light room. And the Grim Reaper guy is Two-Ball Cain. He's the deacon. And he's pulling the candidate towards the door. And this is from Mark of the Beast by Irving Stein, former 32nd degree Mason who defected. And as they go towards the entrance, it says hell, but they put a sticker on it that says light room. And that's the Masonic Lodge, home of Two-Ball Cain. Even has a 6-pointed star under it. Goes back to Solomon's Temple and his black magic rituals. Then you have the soul can, which is showing you how these demons harvest the energy from our souls. So, having said that, we'll get back into other aspects of the Mark of the Beast and Daniel's vision in the next episode of the Phoenix Truth Rising show. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back. This is Spaceman 2.0, and I'm out.